it up for our lead pastor, Cal Jernigan.
Thank you, man. Oh, thank you, guys. Awesome. Oh, thank you. Oh, you guys are killing me. You're killing me. Thank you very much. Please, sit down. Oh, my goodness. Well, let me start by just saying hi to everybody else, wherever you are, whatever campus you're on, whether you're watching online, man, we welcome you. I don't have enough words to tell you how special this particular campus and congregation are to me and my wife, or my wife and I. We were sitting here, and she leans over to me, and she goes, I am incredibly nostalgic right now. So many memories. If you are on any of our other campuses, you need to understand something, that everything else that we have at Central is because of this congregation right here. This is where it all began. And you guys, they were faithful, they helped fund it, they supported it, and it became what it's become so much because of the heart of these people. So I'm telling you that, but I want to say thank you to all of you. We love you. One of the things that's been really cool for me being able to get around to the different campuses, which I don't do every weekend, I think you know that. I preach from the Gilbert campus, which is where we have all of our broadcast equipment. And so our tech guys have just for this last month said, look, we're going to bite the bullet and we're going to take it on the road and we'll do all the work to broadcast. But we have all that equipment in Gilbert. So, week in and week out, I'm there. But this last month, I've been to, this will be my fourth of our campuses that I've got to visit and to meet and see and greet and just be a part of the life of the different congregations that make up this incredible church, Central Christian. So it is so good. It is so good to be with you. And again, I need you to understand with my wife, I'm just kind of overflowing here with emotion. I also want to say this. It is hard to believe it's T-minus 1 week. Wow. 1 week. And I don't know if you've been following the story. We named Sean a year ago, less 1 week. And we basically said, the last year he's going to work with me and we're going to get everything ready to transition. And that's what we've done for the last year. I don't have enough words to tell you how proud I am of Sean, how grateful I am to God that God brought Sean to us. And I don't know how to tell you. You will discover what incredibly good hands you are in with Sean. And he and his wife, Jen, and their family have been already just an enormous gift to this church. I can't wait for you to get to know them better. So, I don't know where the year has gone. I don't know where the lifetime has gone. But folks, I'm going to turn 69 here pretty quick, and it's just time to put this on his shoulders and take it off of mine. So, super excited about that. I do want to say this, and I got to get moving here. I'm going to run out of time. I do want to say thank you. And this has happened, just the cards and the letters and the gifts and the words have absolutely blown Lisa and I away. I just want to say thank you. I wish I could write a personal thank you for every kind thing that's been done for us. And obviously, that would be another full-time job, which is not what I'm looking for. So please allow me to say thank you for that. Now, next week, whether you're here or whether you're on the Gilbert campus, you just don't want to miss next week. Next week's going to be so incredibly cool. Of course, it will be my last Sunday. It will be the time that we are literally placing Sean at the helm. You don't want to miss that. But a very special thing is going to happen next week. We experienced it a year ago. I asked Roy Lawson if he would come back. Roy was my predecessor. And so next week, we're going to have 3 generations of lead pastor at Central showing up for the service. And it is going to be a hoot. It's going to be a ball. And it'll be a lot of remembering and just kind of setting it aside. One more thing I need to say. I got to say this because I've been asked about this. I had no idea what I was uncorking when I told you about our little dog, Millie. Little Miss Millie. We got little Miss Millie about probably 2.5 months ago, I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. And little Miss Millie is a little blue heeler, this psycho. This is little Miss Millie right here. But I've been asked about her so many, people go, you cannot leave without telling us. So allow me just a moment. She was a rescue dog. I don't know, I ask her all the time, what did they do to you? Because she has got PTSD like no dog I've ever seen. She is scared of everything. She has grown to trust Lisa and I a little bit more, and she kind of follows us around, and she's just doing really, really great. And we love this dog. I don't know, and she is psycho, so there you go. Whatever that says about. And by the way, I did figure something out. I didn't realize this when I told you about Miss Millie the first time. I have since come to understand why my wife wanted this dog so badly. It's because she knew I needed something to do in retirement, and so she gets this dog that needs a lot of help, but then she has the gall to say, you guys are good for each other. You need each other. Maybe so, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so here's what I need you to do. I'm gonna get moving, okay? So it's the seatbelt time. Put your seatbelts on, hang on. We're gonna go to Joshua chapter 4. We're going to, I'm gonna love today. We're gonna have a good time. So Joshua chapter 4 is where you need to find in your Bible, 6th book in your Bible. Just go ahead and locate that. We'll get there in just a little bit. We are wrapping up our series Against the Ropes. We've been in this thing for the past month, and the whole idea of this series is, what do you do when life doesn't go like you planned? What do you do when you thought it was going to go this way, it did not go that way, it went that way, did not go how you anticipated? What are you going to do? How are you going to handle the fact that you're living a life that was not your first choice? Most of us would say that's kind of the story for us. And in this series, in the 4 messages, I've had 4 big ideas I've tried to convince you of, and let me just remind you of them as we're kind of wrapping it up. Number 1, you cannot control what happens to you, but you alone will control the effect it has upon you. Only you. You can't control what somebody does to you or how it happens, but you will determine what effect. That'll be your choice, okay? Second thing, until you reach the end, don't reach a conclusion. Until you reach the end, don't reach a conclusion. Too many stories in life turn at the very end a way you never saw coming. Till you reach the end, don't put a period where God puts a comma, all right? Until you reach the end, don't decide what's actually happening. Third, nothing reveals and defines character more than adversity, more clearly than adversity. And we talked about adversity. We hate it, we don't want it, we wish it were some other lifetime, but that is the thing that God uses to shape us and become the people that God wants us to be. So embrace adversity. And then last week we talked about the idea that you have to have friends in your corner because you're going to get beat up. And the idea of that day was investing in relationship today ensures that tomorrow, when you need some help, when you need somebody, let me say it this way, if you invest today, you'll have interest tomorrow. If you don't invest in people today, when your crisis comes, you're going to wish there were somebody there. The way you guarantee somebody will be there is you invest in them, and then they will be there. Now, today what I want to talk about, and it sounds kind of weird, but I want to talk about after the fight, okay? Because we've just been a series on boxing, kind of after the fight means that every match has to come to an end. If you know anything about professional boxing, it's 15 rounds, 3 minutes a round, and there's not 16 rounds. There's only so far you can go. There's only so much you can do. And if you survive to the 15th round and you're still on your feet, both of you are on your feet, if you know how it ends, there's scorekeepers, they're judges, and then they give the referee the score, and he holds one of your arms up, and he lets you know whether you won or whether you lost. And if you won, you celebrate. If you lost, you grieve. But in any case, and this is the point I want to make, in any case, when it's all said and done, you look back. When it's all said and done, you review. You watch the film. You analyze your strategy. You analyze your moves. You analyze, every little thing that happened, and you determine, should you have done it better? Could you have done it better? What should you or could you have done that you didn't do? And you try to learn for the future, because this is probably not going to be the last round you're ever going to see yourself in. You mentally prepare for whatever's next. Now, hold that just on the side, and now I want to just take you down a real quick side road. I want to point out a couple of things that you might or might not realize that I think are very important to the discussion about kind of after the fight, and that is this. 2 things that, just important concepts. Number one, the Christian life is a battle. I don't think we tell people this. I don't think we talk about this enough. The Christian life, if you want to live a Christian life, you're going to live the hardest life you could ever choose to live. It is not a cakewalk. It is not easy. It is very, very hard. That is why in the Bible, the Christian life is very frequently likened to a race or a fight. And it is, and you'll find the verbiage of that in the Bible. You use a lot of athletic imagery to describe the Christian life. The word discipline is all over the Bible. And so let's just start there. So what's required to succeed, because it's a battle, is the discipline to train. Now, a lot of people don't want to train. A lot of people go, it's just too hard. A lot of people just, I want to skip that. But according to the Word of God, you can't skip it. So 1 Timothy 6:11 says this, "But you, man of God, flee from all of this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of faith, of the faith. Take hold of the eternal life to which you were called when you made your good confession in the presence of many witnesses." Get ready for battle is what Paul is telling Timothy. It's difficult. You can become overwhelmed, but you must train to overcome. I told you a while back that my doctor, I ended up with a new doctor, and he basically told me I needed to start going to a gym. I had never been to a gym in my life. This is the truth. I've never lifted weights until about 6 months ago. But you know what I've discovered in the last 6 months? 6 months does not a muscular body make. I'm astounded. I like 3, 4, 5 times a week and nothing, okay? So I've learned something, that consistency is the key. You gotta keep at it a long time. So many of us, we get started, we find it difficult, and we quit. If you're gonna be what you're capable of being, you have to stick with it, and I've learned that the hard way. Strength takes time. Now, let me show you another passage just along that line, just kind of set up where I'm gonna go here. 1 Corinthians 9, 24 and on down says this, "Do you not know that in a race, all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as though beating the air. But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." The race, the boxing, those images, it takes discipline. That's the first thing. The second thing, and this is the one that I think is really, really crucial, is this thought right here. Believers must remember and recount the victories. There are so many moments where you're going to feel defeated in this life. It's going to seem so hard. It is crucial that you take time and you look back and you remember, you reminisce, you recount, you recall the incredible victories that the Lord has shown you in your lifetime. If you lose sight of that, you're going to lose sight of something very powerful. Now, Joshua chapter 4, which is where I asked you to go at the beginning, find yourself right there. And I want to show you something that I think is really interesting. If we're in Joshua 4, beginning with verse 1, if you're there, you're going to read these words. If not, just listen, okay? Just listen. "When the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan," okay, now here's what you got to understand. Moses is dead. Joshua succeeded him. Joshua's job is to get them into the promised land. "When the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan, they are in. The Lord said to Joshua, 'Choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, and tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priests are standing.'" Now, if you know the story, that just like the Red Sea, when they went to cross in, the waters of the Jordan piled up, and literally they crossed on dry land. It was literally a kind of the second version of the Red Sea crossing. So the priests are standing out there. He says, from right where the priests are standing, and get a stone and carry them over with you and put them down at the place where you stay tonight. Get a rock and carry it, and then put all those rocks together. So Joshua called together the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and he said to them, "Go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the children of the Israelites, to serve as a sign among you. Now listen carefully. In the future, when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. Weird idea. You know why it's so weird to us? If you want to recall a memory, all you got to do is take a picture. If you want to recall a memory, all you got to do is pull out that phone, kick it to video, and just videotape it. I got to tell you something. You guys, if you're a parent to this day and age, you're a cheater. It is so unfair. When my daughter is right here. When she was little, to have any memory of her, we had to carry one of these big old huge like boom boxes that was a camera on our shoulder, and it took a half an hour to turn on and get ready. If you're a parent today, it's not fair. It's just not fair. But see, you have pictures and you have videos, and probably you have thousands of them. Before pictures, before videos. How did you tell your kids what was important? As weird as it sounds, you take stones, you stack them together, and every time you go by there, it was an opportunity, because they go, what's that about? And even to this day, when you see a stack of stones, your mind immediately goes, what's happening? Why are these stones here? That will be your opportunity to tell them what happened on that spot. And so you pass on to future generations a tribal knowledge of the history of God's interaction with us. It's really important to the future that your kids know the past. That's the thing I need you to understand. So what's required here? So the discipline to train was the first one. The discipline to retain is this one. Remember. Don't let it slip away. Psalm 78, 3 and 4 says, things that we have heard and known, things our ancestors have told us, we will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power, and the wonders that he has done. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Because for the next few moments, I want us to look backwards, not forward. I want us to remember, to recount the victories. I want us to recall. I want to make sure that there are certain understandings that get passed on to future generations. And many of us have been leaders, for the past, decades. But there's a turning right now in our church, and it's very important that certain things just are understood. So if you'll allow me, I just want to talk to you for a few moments. I want to explain the good and the bad, the hard and the fun, if you would. I want to start by saying this. When I was in high school, I first visited Central Christian Church. I had barely become a believer. I had just literally come as a youth group from Scottsdale, and it was on Hobson, and I just was like drawn into this place. Charles Cook was the pastor back in those days, and I went, man, this is a really, really cool church. And something happened inside of me. I started, the desires of your heart. I started having this desire. Someday I would love to be there. Then I met my predecessor, Dr. Leroy Lawson. I met him. I don't know how to tell you this, but something deep within me welled up and go, I want to work with him. I want to work for him. And I began to have this deep desire to come on the staff at Central. I told you a couple of weeks ago about one of the worst experiences of our life in Southern California that set up a call from this church to us to invite us to come on staff. And I got to come as the youth pastor. I just need you to understand that the years I got to spend as a youth pastor of this church are some of the greatest years of my life. I look back at those years, and I had done about 8 years of youth ministry before here and about 10 years of it here. And man, I'll tell you what, we were only on this campus, it's all we had, but we got to build a youth program, and I got to build a youth staff. We had 10 pastors just ministering to youth. It was an incredible experience. Hundreds and hundreds of kids. It was awesome. And I got to tell you, all the years later, a number of those same staff people are actually on our church staff today. And with much we hold these memories. Sean he will be the lead pastor starting next week. But the executive pastor that has seniority, that's below Sean, but the executive pastor is a guy named Paul Carpenter. Paul has been with us for a long time. I met Paul many, many years ago when I was a youth pastor. I met him in Alaska. I was speaking at a camp. He had done an internship at a little church in Kenai, Alaska. And we ended up at this camp and we got to talking. And I said, you need to come back and do an internship with us in Arizona. And long story short, he came. And by the way, your prior campus pastor here, Perry Emmerich, I also met at that camp. That was an incredibly significant week of camp, by the way. So Paul and Perry came here, but Paul is the senior exec, and he has been on this church staff for over 30 years now. It's incredible. The years just fly by. But one of the greatest, one of the greatest joys of being a youth pastor in a church that you don't leave after a few years is that you get to see the fruit, you see the outcome of what actually, I got to see these young people grow up, and many of them have lived out their faith in most remarkable ways. I've had the privilege of doing many of their weddings. I've watched them become parents and professionals and leaders in the community. I've watched them have kids. I've watched their kids grow up. I've watched their kids grow up and get married. One particular young person is a doctor who was in our youth group, but she's a full-on, very, very significant job that she does with so many people from even in our church. But she served on our board as well. I just get the privilege of being somewhere for so long. And I could go on and on, but I need to move on because I need you to understand. I thought I'd be a youth pastor just forever. I'm going to be a youth pastor forever because this is the greatest life I could ever imagine. I need to tell you how I lost my job. I did lose my job. Well, what happened was years and years ago, Dr. Leroy Lawson, my predecessor, was also the president of Hope International University in Southern California. And he would actually fly over there, I think every Sunday afternoon and work as president for like 3 or 4 days. And then he'd fly back over here and be the senior pastor for 3 or 4 days and fly back and fly back and fly back and fly back. It's the stupidest thing ever. But he did it for quite a while. And then about a year after they asked him to do that, they asked me if I would do that. I go, that's the stupidest thing ever. So I started doing it. And I would fly over and teach youth ministry, and then I'd fly home and do youth ministry, and I'd fly over and teach youth ministry. And John Moten, our campus pastor from the Gilbert campus, was one of my students in that class, or a series of classes, whatever. But that's kind of how it worked. And so one day I was walking through this lobby right outside the doors here, and Roy, the senior pastor / president, looked at me and he said to me, are you going to be on campus tomorrow? Meaning, are you going to be over at Hope teaching? And I said, yeah, I'm going to fly over. And he looked at me, he was deadpan serious. He goes, I need you to see me when you're there. And I said, hey, no problem, man, what's up? He goes, I don't need to tell you what's up. I need you to see me. I need you to find me. I said, Roy, why? And he goes, tomorrow, just find me. Okay, man. Like, wow. He's normally a lot of fun. But anyway, so he was like real serious. And so I went home and I fret all night long. When you're a youth pastor, it doesn't mean that you did something. It means a kid in the church did something. And you're the youth pastor, so you're responsible. I'm racking my brain. What have I done? What am I getting called out for? I'm in trouble. I don't know why. But I'm the kind of guy that I always say it this way, if I have to swallow a frog, I ain't looking at it for long. What I mean is, if I got something ugly to do, I'm doing it first thing. I'm getting it over with. That's the story of my life. I'm not going to let this bother me all. So I get off the plane. I literally get a ride to the school. His office was on like the 7th story of a little high rise on the campus, overlooking the campus. I got on the elevator. How many of you have memories of going to the principal when you were a kid? That's what's going through me. I'm an adult going to the principal of the school. I'm riding up this elevator. My heart starts pounding with every floor we pass. I'm about to get chewed out for something. I don't even know why, but I'm about to. So I get off the elevator and I kind of timidly start walking in. I'm looking around. I've never been up there. I look around and this is what I recall is there were offices of vice presidents, a center section with, I assume, executive assistants, little open desks, and his office is up here somewhere. I don't know where it is. So I walk over to a lady and I said, hey, is there any chance I could get in to see Roy? And she looked at me and she said, something like, and you are? And I said, oh, I'm nobody, but my name's Cal. I didn't get my last name out. I said, Cal. And she stopped me and she said, he's waiting for you. Oh no. He's with somebody right now, but he said if you were to show up, I was to interrupt him. Why don't you just have a seat right there? And she pointed a bony little finger over there. And so I sat down like an obedient little boy going to the principal's office. I sit down and he comes walking out and he's got his arm around somebody. He's all chummy. He looks at me and goes, get in there. Okay, so I go in the office. He just exited. He says goodbye to this guy. He comes around the corner. I'm in the office. I don't know where to be. This is what I recall. There was an executive desk there. There were 2 wingback chairs in the middle, and there was a conference table over there. On better days, man, I'd have my feet up on his desk. That's where but not today, because I'm in trouble. So I go and I sit down at one of the wingback chairs. He comes walking in. He's pretty intense. He starts walking. He gets halfway. He says, I need to close the door. He walks back and closes. Oh no. What have I done? He walks over to me and he goes, I need you to move. This is serious. I need you to move. And I said, Roy, why? He goes, you know why. Roy, I don't know. He goes, because I can't hear out of the ear that you're sitting. You need to change chairs. So I need to hear what you're about to say to me. Oh, no. So I get up and I change chairs and I look at him and I go, what in the world have I done? And he says this. He says, so how long did you think you were going to be the youth pastor at Central Christian Church? Kind of a moot point, isn't it? Not as long as, a lot longer than I think apparently I'm going to be. I said, Roy, what have I done? And this is what he said to me. He goes, we no longer want you as our youth pastor. Yeah, I'm kind of picking that up. What have I done? He goes, we don't want you anymore as our youth pastor. And I said, okay. I'm still clueless. I don't know. And I said, okay, what do I do? He goes, you need to prepare to become the next lead pastor of our church. So I went from getting fired to getting promoted like nanoseconds. So I looked at him. This is what I said. This is what I said. I said 3 words. Are you nuts? That's what I said. Are you nuts? And he finally starts laughing. Now, you need to understand, he's got a sense of humor a mile long. He did all that on purpose. That was all a setup, just to crush my spirit. He's a mean guy. Anyway, so I'm hearing all this, and I'm like, Roy, I go, this is a really bad idea. I go through what I call my Moses moment, which is where you feel like God meant to call somebody, called the wrong guy. You use a rotary phone. It was 1 digit off, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you just... So hey, God, no harm, no foul. Whoever you meant to call, I'm going to hang up. We'll forget this call ever happened. You call who you meant to call. And just went through an identity crisis. I never desired to be a senior pastor. It was not, I didn't train for it. It was not my thing. And I basically said, Roy, you guys do not want me as the lead pastor of Central. And he was representing the board who had made this decision to offer it. And I said, Roy, it's not me. And he said, why not you? And I said, because I would change this church. It would not be the same church. And he smiles and he goes, yeah, we know that. And that's why we're asking you. Well, long story short, it was one of those times where, God looks over your shoulder and he puts people in your life and you need to listen. And I'm so grateful all those years ago that is what happened. Now, I want to say this. Let me just do something. I want to talk about some of the really hard moments in the last. I want you to just understand from a pastor's perspective. I got put in office at Central on August 20th. I'm doing this from memory, so if I'm off by a day. August 20th, I think, is when I was put in office. April 20th, April 21st. My second day, Columbine happened. Now, if you think back to Columbine, the shooting in the high school, it began something that all these years later has become so normalized. It doesn't even shock you anymore, but go back to the trauma. And I remember we had this whole first weekend planned, and I don't know what to do. We got through that, and then the Y2K thing hit. Remember Y2K? And we got through that. And then this thing called 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened, and guys, I don't know how to do any of this. So we get in this building. This place is pretty full right now, but I mean, this place was packed. It's standing room only the night of 9/11. We got word out. It was before social media. We got the word out and said, hey, we're just going to get together as a church and pray. And I remember standing up here and just going, guys, I don't know what to tell you other than God is faithful and God is good and he'll get us through this. So let's just spend our time praying. And we had one of the best memories in the life of our church. That was the third thing. The fourth big problem we had to deal with was our growing problem. I know this is hard to believe, but this building used to fill up like 4 times a weekend. And we're trying to figure out, what do we do with the balcony? What are we going to do? And we decided on this, instead of just trying to build bigger buildings, let's spread the church out into different communities. And so we began the whole multi-site thing, and that's how that came about. And then as soon as we opened up our Gilbert campus, we had the great financial, the 2007-8 Great Recession hit. We had just hired a whole bunch of new staff, and it was the first time I ever had to go through the pain of a layoff, and we just had to deal with the economy. That was probably the last big crisis until COVID hit. And just for the record, I had no idea how to lead this church through COVID. I ditched the day in seminary when we're talking about pandemics. And I didn't get the notes. Nobody had an idea. But here's what I discovered during that is no matter what I do, it's wrong with some people. That's what I discovered. That was followed 2 months later with George Floyd. We had, as a church, dealt with racism before. We had already made our mind up where we were going to land on that, so we knew. But it was still hard because people didn't want us to take the stand we took. By the way, all of that was followed by what we'll call the era of deconstruction. Remember all this? Where people during the COVID lockdown decided, I don't even think I believe in God anymore. And people's faith got really deconstructed, which is not an all bad thing. It made people think deeply. But then I think probably the last one I pointed out, really difficult, kind of hard to believe. We made a decision that as a church, we were going to be about peacemaking, and we're going to be about helping people who are at odds come together. And so we decided we're taking on certain things. We're going to actively weigh in on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which we did. We're going to actively weigh in on the Christian-Muslim thing, which we did. We're going to actively weigh in on the Christian-Catholic thing, which we did. We're going to actively weigh in on the race issue, which we did. I could keep going. We decided a number of years ago we're going to have a peace conference, and we're going to talk about the beauty of peace when people actually, brothers, live together, and that we learn how to accept people that are different, and it doesn't have to be everyone thinking the same way. It's exactly what we ought to have done, which is where love beyond all came from. But you know what happened? A big fight broke out in the midst of our peace conference. Not a fist fight, but a verbal fight. I had to stand in front of the church on Sunday morning and go, who picks a fight in a peace conference? But people left our church because there were, not you, but a lot of people left our church going, I know he's the Prince of Peace and I know all of that, but I'm not laying down my fists. I'm going to fight. And we're just like, that's not the call. Okay, so I can tell you all that. And I go, those were really, really hard moments. Now what I want to do, I don't have a lot of time left. I want to just remember some of the fun moments. I just want to reminisce, and you might be able to recall that. I want to reminisce about the decision we made to buy 160 acres of land in Gilbert. I would love to tell you that everyone got on board right away. That didn't happen. But buying that land was so incredible because I had to stand in front of the congregation here and go, guys, we got to put up some money, and we got to prove that we can actually buy this land. Do you know that the Bank of America stepped in? You just need to know this. The Bank of America stepped in and gave us $10.5 million to buy that land in an unsecured note. You don't do that if you're a bank. They literally turned over $10.5 million to our accountant and said, here, use our money, buy the land, and then we'll put the paper together. And there's a reason behind that, but that was absolutely remarkable. And then I remember we created a plan. We were going to relocate. We're going to move, and this was the third campus. We're going to go to the fourth campus in Gilbert. We bought 160 acres, and we designed a master. It was a 1 million square foot church building, 5 stories tall, the worship center. It was awesome. It was going to solve all the space problems we had, and there happened to be a mayor that just got voted in Gilbert who was anti-growth and anti-sprawl, and our lawyer said, hey, listen, Pastor, it would be really better if you would actually go have a conversation with him before he sees this plan in town hall. Because if he sees this plan in town hall and he has a negative reaction, all the council members are going to vote against it. So you need to let him kind of vent at you. And then the lawyer told me, he said, hey, I know this guy, I just need you to understand. I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, he's gruff. He's not going to like this, and he's going to let you know he doesn't like it. So just be prepared. Don't take the bait. Don't bite. Just let him go off on you. I'm in 2 years now into this thing. Just let him go off on me. Yeah, just take it. Okay. So I go in there. I'm going to do my best to show you what happened. So we go in, we make a little chit chat, kind of talk about a couple of people we know in common. And then the lawyer says, hey, said his name, Mayor, well, we would like to show you a proposed plan that we have for a campus over here on Gilbert and Lindsay and Jermaine. I'm trying to go fast. And we would like for you to see it and answer any questions you have. And so they slide the plot plan of our 1 million square foot facility, 5 stories tall. They slide that thing over. And I'm going to do my best to show you what he did. He looked at it. He's loading up. I can see steam starting to come out. I go, here it comes. And he's just going, And then he does this, I'll never forget it. He took his hand, he slammed it down. He goes, gentlemen, I did not get out of bed this morning and come to work to break any of the 10 Commandments. Oh, that doesn't sound good. And I am racking my brain to remember the 10 Commandments. And he said, all I could come up with is thou shalt not murder, because that was the most obvious. And he goes, but right now, I am in serious covet. He goes, why doesn't my church think like this? I love this. Is there anyone on my staff is making difficult for you to build this project? Tell me and I'll go talk to him right now. We had to go in front of the town council. And there was a huge problem. He approved it, but the town council was having you know what the big argument was? This is 5 stories tall that we're trying to get through the town. You know what the big problem was? You know what the issue was made? You want a 20-foot sign on the street? 20 feet tall? That's outrageous. It's as if God blinded him to a 5-story building in the middle of this. And the lawyer leans over to me and goes, can I concede the sign? I go, concede the sign. Conceded the sign past 704, which is why we have little tiny signs. Let me keep going. So then we get the idea of the multi-site. And multi-site, I remember standing here and going, hey guys, listen, okay, I got an idea. We've talked about it at the board. The board's, okay, what if we did one church on 2 sites? What if, and I explained the whole what, and I explained the who and the when, and I said, you're gonna ask me how. I have no idea how. I just know who, what, and when. It's you, us, and now, and I don't know how. And there's a guy sitting in the seat, maybe the seat you're sitting in. His wife was elbowing him, and she looked at him and she goes, you know how to do that. Next day he made a meeting with me and he said, hey, I know you don't know who I am. I come to your church, I kind of hide in the pews, but I want you to know I am the executive producer of Diamondbacks baseball, and I want you to understand something. I know something. Baseball is a game, but this is life and death. You tell me when I will resign from Diamondbacks baseball. I will set up your ability to multi-site and broadcast. Folks, he did. Margarita, that's how we got here. Let me keep going. Okay, so we're going to build that campus, but what are we going to do here? I just want to remind you of a couple things that we did. You remember we did a series at Easter. One of the coolest Easters we've ever done was called The Stakes Are High, and we turned this entire worship center into a casino. We did. we called it the Fabulous Center Christian Church. And I came out and I was in a dealer's vest. I came out. Do we have a picture of that at all? Yeah. This is this church in the past. It's right here. But I came out and we had all kinds of machines up here. And I said, hey, I'm your designated dealer for the day. And I want to deal a message. And I said, look, there's only two possibilities. There is a God, there isn't a God. And you're either going to get this right or you're going to get it wrong. There is a God, there isn't a God. You get it right, you get it wrong. There's only four possibilities. And I said, when you walked in, you were handed a chip. You only got one chip. You go, how am I going to do with one chip? You only got one chip because you only get one life. And you're going to bet your life on one of those four possibilities. Make sure you think it out because your life depends on it and your eternity depends on it. Have a great Easter. We'll see you later. It was one of the greatest Easters we ever had. Then we did a series here. I came in those doors over there. I came right in, man, on a big old motorcycle, putting in here. This is right here, folks. That happened right here. I rode down this aisle. It was a series we were doing on Born to be Wild. We're talking about Jesus was a wild man. He's not tame, and he was an unafraid man. And I did this. I got off, had a bandana, did the thing. I preached a sermon. I get back on the motorcycle, and I ride out those doors right there. And I started here, and I turned that corner, and I zipped up that thing. But every service, we used to have like 3 services in the morning here. I was getting more and more confident. I ended up burning the carpet on the way out. It's awesome. Born to be wild. And then there was this, we were talking about John 21 where the fishermen were out fishing all night and they didn't catch anything. And Jesus said, friends, having no fish and all that. And I was talking about how hard it is as fishermen. We thought it'd be really cool. What if because I fish, I'm a fisherman. So what if we got a bass boat and put it on the stage? Wouldn't that be awesome? And so we did. That bass boat, not on this stage, it was the old stage. We got that bass boat through those doors right there. There was no ramp. We literally had 30-some guys lift this bass boat over the hill, get it down here, and then 30-some guys to lift it up here. But what a fun moment that was. Then there was a thing I was trying to get our church to understand about financial freedom and how we are literally, there's a script to keep you in debt. And Braveheart was big, and so I got on a horse, and I dressed up like William Wallace. This is kind of what that one looked like. And I rode this horse. What will you do with that freedom? And it was awesome. And anyway, that was a whole lot of fun. And then there was a time when we asked you to give your shoes. People came to church and I didn't tell them we were going to ask you. And I said, hey, listen, a lot of people need your shoes. We'll get them to them if you'll give them to us. And just if you will do that, bring your shoes up. And you would not believe how many, we did so many services. People came and the stage was packed with shoes that we then gave away. And then we followed that. Hey, next week we're going to do a rice and beans challenge for a week. It's amazing how many ways you can cook rice and beans when that's all you can eat. So we kind of learned what that was like. I could go on and on, you get the idea. The Gilbert campus opened in October of 2007. The church began to change. This is a picture of the Gilbert campus back in the day, which is, if you see this thing now, it's buildings everywhere. And I'll never forget the guy that came up to me when we bought that land. He poked me in the chest and basically accused me of bankrupting the church because we bought that land. But that was the opening day of that. But we did that, and then we opened up the Queen Creek campus. Then we opened up the Glendale campus, and we opened up the Ahwatukee campus, and then we opened up the Tempe campus. It was incredible. And then we had the first Acts 8 weekend. Remember the first Acts 8 weekend? We said, listen, if you've never been baptized, there's water. What prevents you from being baptized? I taught on Acts 8. 500 and some people from the 2 campuses that we had back then came forward and said, I want to get baptized. The service went on for like hours. It was like we were in Africa. It was awesome. And then we did a series called Route 66 where we were talking about the 66 books of the Bible. I traveled all over the United States, shot scenes from different locations. That was awesome. We did the story, which is trying to get everybody to read the story of the Bible. We had Bibles that we put together. This is Central Christian Church's version of the story. And thousands and 12,000 people plus showed up on the weekends to go through to learn the Bible. That was amazing. And then there were several Christmases that stand out to my mind. One right before the pandemic, we shot in New York City. I shot it from Rockefeller Center. We filmed it. and Central Park, and then the one a couple of years ago that we did from Whistler. There's so many Christmas memories. And then there was a 60th celebration that we took at Chase Field. We rented out Chase Field, and we brought all the congregations together. This was in November of 2019. And man, we had this incredible celebration. Roy came back for that. And then at the end of that, we talked about the past, present, the future. We opened up the roof and we had a fireworks show. It was absolutely astounding. You get the idea? We could just keep going. We talked about Love Beyond. I asked you to write the name of somebody who needs Jesus on a light bulb. All of our campuses, you look around, you'll see Love Beyond. Not long ago, we did a chosen campaign to help World Vision reach and help and bless children. Our country is Rwanda. We aimed at 900. We get 900 kids taken care of. You guys took care of 1,500 plus kids. That's the kind of church you are. And then 1 year ago, I got to hustle here. 1 year ago, almost to the day, 1 year ago, we introduced you to Sean. And this is Roy, the little one in the middle. And I think you know, this is the 3 generations. So 1 year ago, we celebrated. This is what's going to happen next week. And let me wrap this up. I got to be done. I could go on and on because I'm telling you, I got so many good memories. But let me just explain a couple of things. What's next for us? Because I get asked this all the time. Lisa and I are going nowhere. We're going to step out of this role, but we're not going to step out of this congregation. In agreement with the board, I have suggested, they have thought that, okay, there's probably wisdom in that. Sean has agreed, there's probably wisdom in that. For 6 months, Lisa and I are not going to go to Central. We are not protesting, we're not boycotting. We are just simply going, we need to give Sean room to breathe. And so for 6 months, we're going to visit other churches and do online, all that kind of stuff. The next several months in directly after next week, what are you doing? I'm doing nothing. That's what I'm doing. Plan to do nothing in particular, but I'll see where God leads. Now, I want to wrap it up. Okay, I want you to stay with me. I want to read 2 verses to you because I need you to understand something. Nothing I have shared has anything directly to do with me. This is all about God working in our lives. Together, we have accomplished some cool things. But I want to tell you why it's so important that you recount and you recall the victories. Here's why. Deuteronomy 6:12. Take care lest you forget the Lord. Lest somehow you get to thinking that you're the one that did this. Psalm 77:11 says, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your wonders of old. Last thing I want to say to you is this. It's one thing to watch at the end of 26 years of being a lead pastor, to see the senior pastor talk about memories. The coolest experience that some of you are having is you remember you were there. You were a part of the memory. Folks, the Bible says, do not neglect gathering together on a regular basis. That's called the church. Worshipers coming together to do life. It's about building friendships that end up, friends in your corner. Look, seeing it is not at all like living it. My challenge to you is don't fall for the cultural norm, which is, hey, I'm going to go to church, every now and then. Make attendance regular. Make it a part of your life. Make a memory with God, and it will serve you a lifetime and then an eternity. Let me pray, and I'm so over time. Sorry. Fire me already, okay? Whatever. Let's go. Let me pray. God, thank you for these folks. Thanks for the memory. God, thank you so much for Sean and Jen and their family. And God, we are so excited about them. We know that you're going to do incredible things in their lives, in their leadership life with this church. God, the best days of this church are not behind. The best days, this has all been set up now for the future. And God, new leaders rise and new dreams and new visions are going to emerge. And God, we are so excited for where this is going to go, where you are going to lead this. So, Father, with grateful hearts, we rejoice about the future. But right now, with grateful hearts, we reminisce about the past. Thank you for us, for Lisa and I and my family, 38 wonderful years of doing life together with this church. God, it's been awesome, way beyond our worthiness. Thank you for this gift. Thank you for these people, and we praise you for this. In Jesus' name, amen. Bless you guys.